Alright guys, so welcome back. I guess we're up to, what, part 3? We did the main hoop, we did the door bars, now we gotta do the rear down bars. So how do you do this? I don't know, and there's absolutely no instructions for this part. So, I have an idea of how I'm going to do this, and I have several steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to lay down blue tape under here and under here. And then the second thing I'm going to do is I am going to, I guess I'll get a straight edge, and I will mark the outer perimeter of this plate on both sides. If you notice, the plate doesn't sit on the floor, so it's not going to be so easy. It wants to be up about 2 inches or so. So I'm going to do those 2 steps first. So let me do that and I'll be back. Alright guys, so welcome back. So I've actually spent a little bit of time doing this. I actually had to do it over twice. So at first I had the two, let me show you how this is connected. So you see how the down bar connects with the main hoop? Okay, so there's a nut here and an Allen head nut there. So you have 2 Allen head nuts on each side. Sorry, 2 Allen head bolts on each side. So they were actually loose on both sides. So I was trying to figure out what height to have this at. And then I had also marked the outline of this plate. So when I had the nuts loose, I had too much slop and the height was varying. So then I was like, okay, and then when I made my lines, they were actually like further out here. As you raise this, you're pulling the edge away. So then I was like, wait a minute, let me tighten those first. And then once I tightened them, it was pretty easy to determine the appropriate height from here. Because you don't want to be pulling up or pushing down, because then when you if you ever try to undo this rear bar section, that's going to be torqued up there and you're not going to be able to get it out easily. So the appropriate height for this is 1 7/16. So I made a reference mark here and here. So whenever I come back, I'll always measure from the same point, because these plates are not level and square with each other or the car. You know, this one's tilted way to the side, and this one's tilted way up. This one's almost level. So, and then this plate is kicked this way, and this plate is pretty straight. So, at least I'll come back to the same points, and from these same points I get 1 7/16 is the comfortable height, which I'm not applying a lot of torque up at that connection. And I took my protractor, that thing right there, and that bar is on a 17-degree downward angle, and so is that one. And with these bars in place, they line up perfectly. They're perfectly flush and level with each other. So to continue that 17-degree angle, the right height here is 1 7/16. The height from the floor to the bottom of the plate. That is. I hope that makes sense. It probably doesn't. Okay, so in case that part didn't make sense, with the main hoop bolted in the car, this is at a 17-degree angle. So to match that, as you can see, that's at a 17-degree angle. The height then here has to be 1 7/16. Now I could lift up and I could change that, or I could push down and change that, But if these bars naturally are at 17-degree angle, then this should be the same. So to maintain that 17-degree angle, these plates have to be 1 7/16 inch off the floor. Hopefully that clears it up. So just by taking a piece of 2x4 and lightly wedging it up to this point, I maintain 1 7/16 inches on both sides. And when I put the level here, it's perfectly straight. So I hope that's how you do it. I don't know how the professionals do it. I don't have any instructions, so forgive me if I'm doing this wrong, but this is what I get. Okay, so that was step 1 and step 2. Now, I'm sorry, that was step 1, step 2, and step 3 was figuring out this height, which I did. I wrote some instructions down so I don't forget. Because sometimes I go back and I watch my videos, they don't make sense. So step 1 was to lay down the blue tape. Step 2 was to mark the outline of this plate. Step 3 was finding out that height, which was a little tricky, but I figured it out. So now step 4 is I'm going to step away from this. I'm going to make a template for this. And I'll explain that later. So let me make a template for this, and then I'll be back. And then you'll understand why I want to make a template for this. All right, I'll be back. Okay guys, so check it out. This is my template of the bracket. So I mark from the top of the bracket down to 1 7/16, and I describe the line all the way around. So this thing will be resting in the floor up until this line. So the reason why I made this template is because, let's say this is the floor of the Corvette. Most shops and most people would just do that, trace this out, cut a big ass hole in the floor the size of that. But you don't have to do that. I'm trying to go for like a professional tight fit. So what I did, I made this template. Hold on, it goes this way. Took my measurements carefully. So you see how that is? So technically, this is all I will have to cut out of the car. And if you look, well, so the cardboard is representing the floor of the car. If I push it up all the way, the cardboard is right at the line. Well, it's hard to do with one hand. So that now, so that'll be sticking out of the floor. And what I could do is I could take automotive seam sealer and seal up all the edges for a nice, tight, clean, professional finish. So I can take this over to the car once I find the inside edge of the frame, which I'm not sure how I'm going to do that as of just yet. I could lay this over, trace it, and then this is all I have to cut out. So from here to here, I believe is 1.5 inches. Yeah, just over 1.5 inches. And by cutting this out just 1.5 inches, this will come down to rest right there and won't go down any further. So technically, if I get my measurements right and cut that out right, I could just drop this in and it's just going to naturally sit there at 1 7/16 inches sticking up. I hope that made sense. So basically take this over to the car, find the edge of the frame rail, trace that out, and then just have to make that tight cut, which will be another production. Maybe that's why a shop would just cut out a big ass hole. But me being as fastidious as I am, I'm going as tight of a cutout as I can. Am I making more work for myself? Probably. But this is just how I like doing things. I'm sure you guys figured that out by now. Hopefully you guys appreciate this. Okay, so you saw that I made the templates. That was step 4. So now step 5 for me is going to be to remove the rear down bars. And then step 6 is going to be remove the exhaust and the heat shield. So let me get the exhaust out. So let me get the down bars out. That'll be step 5 for myself. And then step 6 again will be removing the exhaust and the heat shield. Since there's no instructions, I'm coming up with step-by-step instructions for myself. And in case somebody's going to use my video as a reference, at least I'm pointing them out and the order you should go in. All right, I'll be back. Let me get those bars out. Okay, rear down bars are out. Now on to getting the exhaust out and the heat shield. I'll be back. All right, guys, so welcome back. So for myself, step 6 was to remove the exhaust and the heat shield that was here. I did that, so step 6 is done. So step 7 was to mark or somehow mark the inside frame rail onto the floor here. So I just took a metal machinist ruler that I have, and the edge was really sharp. I just held it on an angle. I laid it against the frame, held it on an angle, and just dragged it along here and scribed the mark there. So this is pretty much the inside frame rail. This is pretty much where it would fall. There's probably a number of ways you could do this, but I've never done this, so I'm just trying to do this the best way I could think. So step 8 is going to be then to somehow transfer this mark to the other side, to the inside, the trunk area. How am I going to do that? I don't know. There's a couple of things you could do. What I'm thinking to do is, and I guess you could call this step 8, take my drill bit, drill a hole right here, and then drill a hole right here, and then a hole right here. And I do know that, if you guys remember, I marked out the bottom plate. I marked it out on blue tape on the other side. So I know it kind of falls, the edge of it falls like right in line with this. So it goes like that way. And then the other edge like falls somewhere up here, but I don't know exactly where. So if I drill here, here, and here, I could then go on the other side, take a straight edge, line up the 3 holes, and make a straight mark, scribe the floor, and that should pretty much represent where the floor, where the inside frame rail is. And then from up there, I think it would be easier to make a cut. Because if I took my Sawzall here, let's say I just drilled a hole here, stuck the blade in, and the Sawzall's on an angle. Might be a little, I'm sorry, the Sawzall, the air saw is on an angle. I can't lay it flush and line it up with the mark. So I'd have to like kind of hold it on an angle like that. That could work, but the cut might not come out as straight. So why not try it from up top? This way I could just hold the air saw a little bit on an angle like this and follow a straight line. It'll be a lot easier. I hope that makes sense. And I wish I had instructions. I've never done this before, so this is the only way I can think of, guys. Am I doing this wrong? I don't know. Maybe I am. Am I doing it right? I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't have any instructions. So this is the only way I can think of, guys. All right, I'm going to make the 3 holes, and then I'll see what happens on the other side. Wish me luck. This is going to be painful. All right, guys, so there you have it. There are my 3 holes. If I take this machinist ruler and lay it across, they all line up. So now you could see that the edge of the bottom plate ended here and the other side ended here. Let me just check this. How long is this? This is should be 6. Yeah, it's 6 inches because this is also Well, this part here is 6 inches, but then this is 6 inches. From here to here is 6 1/4 because of that 1/8 inch plate they have on each side. So I guess I will make a line basically from the top here and end here, then take my air saw and make one straight cut, and that should be in line with the inside frame rail, the inside edge of the frame rail. And then I will come out 1/4 of an inch this way, 1/4 of an inch this way, and then come back this way, and hopefully that should pretty much be a nice rectangle. So let me make the line, and then I'll take my air saw. Well, actually I'll drill another hole here. Actually, let me make the line, then I'll come with a 1/4 inch drill bit. I'll drill it here and drill it here. This way I have a starting point where to stick my air saw blade in. Okay, so I made my mark. So this mark represents the inside edge of the frame rail. And if you look, it bends and gets wider towards the bottom here. And the frame, I should have pointed out, the frame does bend in this way. And it also bends downward towards the rear. Alright, so there's my slot. I've got to widen it just a little bit here, and then I'll be able to drop it in. And you can see the frame, the edge of the frame right there, so the lines are pretty damn good. Just got to widen it right there. Alright, let me do that and I'll be back. Alright guys, so there it is. I just took that flat file, just opened it up at the top a little bit, and nice tight fit. So now what I'll have to do is I'll have to make like a 1/8 inch wide slot this way and over here this way, so that this part can fall into place. And then when I have this thing basically resting at 1 7/16 inch, 1 7/16 inches above the floor, then it can be welded to the frame. So the bottom plate on the down bar is 3 inches. This is 3 inches across as well, but obviously there's going to be some overhang, so the bottom plate will probably like end like right here, so there'll be a little bit of an overhang. That's pretty much it. Now I could use this template to cut out those slots, and I basically have to stop there and there. I'll stop a little before to give myself some wiggle room. It's better to undershoot than to overshoot. I'll consider this step 9. That was step 8, making that slot. Step 9 will be utilizing this template to help with those slots. And then I guess step 10 will be welding it in. And then anyone who needs a reference now has my video. You have steps 1 through 10. Alright, so let me get on with step 9 so we can move on to number 10. Alright, I'll be back. Alright guys, so now I'm using my template. I laid it over, I marked it out with a pen. So now I'm going to have to cut this way and this way. But if you look here, this goes down. So I need to come out to like here, but I don't really have to do that. So I'm going to take a 1/8 inch drill bit, line it up here on this edge and then just drill this way. This side I'll just cut it all the way out. And then what I'll wind up having to do is maybe just trim down a little bit. But I'd rather not take out enough material. It doesn't really matter if it does fall down below the 1 7/16 inch height. You can always raise it up. But I'm just trying to make it as tight as a fit as possible. Alright, so let me trim this stuff out and drill it out, and I'll be back. Alright guys, so welcome back. So I got the 1/8 inch slots cut here and there. So it has dropped down. I'm pretty close to the line. But this side is hitting the frame, so I'm going to need to trim just about 1/4 inch off on the other side. Let me raise the car and I'll show you guys what I mean. I'll be back. Okay, so here we are under the car. So you can see this side's not hitting right now. If I drop it, it will, of course. But this side is on the frame. See? So I gotta just cut like 1/4 inch. So the plate is sitting flush against the frame on both sides. Now, the frame is, well, if you look, if you're wondering why it hits here but not here, the frame goes downward towards the rear. So I'm just going to notch that about 1/4 inch, and then we'll see how it lays. Alright, that is the channel I had to cut out. And I basically just had to widen it and come down like halfway. That's it. Alright. Let me notch this lower corner here. Go this way and down. Alright, I'll be back. Alright guys, so there it is. This side's all done. Sitting level, it's right at the line. Sitting at the right height. So now I just got to weld that in. Then I will put some automotive seam sealer around. And we'll be done with that side. Now I just got to do this side. I'm not going to film this side because the filming slows me down so much. So hopefully in the next video clip, that side will just be done. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, so there it is, guys. This side was faster and easier, and it's falling exactly in place. It's right where I want it to be. It's level. It's level this way, and it's level this way, and then this way. It's not welded in, but it will be soon. So now do I take it to a speed shop or do I call the mobile welder? I think I'm just going to call the mobile welder. Let them come here, get it done 1, 2, 3. So that's pretty much it. Alright, next video, hopefully you'll see it's getting welded in. And then I am going to put automotive seam sealer around best I can. And then paint these brackets. Alright, I'll be back. I hope you like this. I really want to finish this. This is an absolute nightmare. Very difficult project. Very difficult. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, so I just want to show you guys quickly. I got a welder coming to the house. It's 2 days since my last clip. So I just put the bars in, I bolted them down, and they're resting right on the pads. And as you can see, there's a little bit of an overhang here, like 1/8 inch and 1/8 inch. there's nothing I could do because this is where the frame is and this is where this has to be mounted, the lower bracket. But that's okay, I'm okay with that. But this one, you know, this plate was welded a little crooked, and I knew it was going to happen, and that one sticks out a little bit, but that's no big deal. You're not going to really see that. I believe the rug will come up to about here anyway. So both plates are at 1 7/16 inches above the floor, and that's where they want to fall. The bars are still at a 17-degree angle. I was trying to match, another reason why I was trying to match that 17-degree angle from the bar up there, from the main hoop, is because if I wind up pulling up, I'm going to force the main hoop forward, and then that could affect the alignment of the door bars, you know, the pins and all that, and I might have to enlarge the holes, but then I would have a little bit of slack. So just to keep everything copacetic, it didn't take much effort just to maintain that same angle of those bars right there that come off the main hoop. So, alright, hopefully they do a nice job welding, and then we could bolt this in and be done with this project. Well, then we got to do the rug. Well, then we got to do the seat belts and the rug. Alright, I'll be back. Alright guys, so welcome back. So the welder just left. They welded in. This is pretty much what it'll look like. The welds came out very, very nice. Wow, looks good. So I'll clean it up, paint it, and that'll be the end of that. So I marked the holes. I'll center punch them and drill them out. Then I'll paint the upper half too as well. Then I guess I have to put the rug. Then mount, yeah, I gotta put the rug, then then bolt these in for one more final time. What's a nightmare. You wind up taking everything in and out 10 times. Alright, so let me take this out again. Drill out the holes. Alright, so let me get this out, mark the holes, and drill them. I'll be back. Okay, so I've got the holes drilled out to 3/8. So now you have this plate. This is a sandwich plate, which has to go underneath. It comes with two, one for each side, but neither plate is just fitting in there. So I'm going to have to grind down the edges a little bit to get them to fit. So once I grind these down, I'll get this in there, trace out the holes, punch it, drill it, do the same over there. And then I will paint it. Then I'll put automotive seam sealer around the edges. Alright, well, I'll be back. Alright guys, so welcome back. I've got the bracket and the frame painted. 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of paint, and that's it. Now I'll paint it up on top. Let me get this tape off. So there it is with the tape off. That little extra effort really goes a long way because it looks really neat and clean, really professional. Really professional. I'm very happy with that. Alright, I'll be back. That damn can of primer was like spitting the paint. I got some overspray up there. And I got some there. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Maybe not so professional, maybe a little bit amateurish. Alright, I'll be back.